Mr.
Speaker, I'd like to thank the Lord Chancellor for his careful and thoughtful words. It's 32 years since the 96 people were unlawfully killed having gone to watch a football match, primarily through the gross negligence of the South Yorkshire Police, who should have been protecting them. 5 years since the inquest verdicts, after 6 men were charged with 14 offences, only 2 charges were even put to the jury. 12 charges were thrown out or withdrawn, and just 1 conviction was secured for a health and safety breach, resulting in a £6,500 fine. Yet since 2016, the families and survivors have been silenced to prevent any prejudice to these criminal proceedings, necessitating the cancellation of all public memorial services, including the 30th anniversary, and preventing them from correcting the record when the Hillsborough slurs about fans causing the disaster have been repeated, and they have been repeated in court and outside of court. Does he agree that it's a catastrophic failure of our criminal justice system that nobody's been held accountable for these killings, and that it's taken 32 years to fail so badly? Does he think that the Crown Prosecution Service has any questions to answer about the charges laid, the vigour with which they were fought, and their failure to challenge the reintroduction of the Hillsborough slurs when the families themselves could not because they were silenced? Does he accept that the utter failure over 32 years of our criminal justice system to do justice to these people requires changes in the law to make families bereaved in public disasters never again have to endure this extended ordeal after so many years to get to truth and justice? He seemed to be saying that he wants to learn lessons, and I welcome that. Will he consider enacting, therefore, measures in the Public Advocate Bill, which is designed to stop things going wrong in the first place? That is the key to stopping things going wrong in public disasters, and in the Public Authority Accountability Bill. And will he work with those of us in this House who've been campaigning on this to get it right for the future? Since the collapse of the trials, 2 defence barristers have repeated the Hillsborough slurs in public. This matters so much to the families. The cover-up has been denied. So does the Lord Chancellor agree with me that this now has to stop? Will he make it clear that it must stop, and that the apology that the former Prime Minister David Cameron gave in this House matters now as much as it did then, and sets the record straight? And does he agree with me that the idea that it's lawful for a public authority to withhold information from an inquiry established to identify why 96 people died at a football event and to learn lessons, and for a solicitor to advise such a step cannot be right and must be changed?
Secretary Butland.
Well, I'm very grateful to the Honourable Lady, and can I pay tribute to her for the consistent work that she continues to do in this area. She's asked a number of questions. She'll forgive me perhaps if I can't answer them in absolute specificity, but I will do, of course, my very best. I will start, Mr. Speaker, by reiterating the apology that David Cameron made. That is the government's position. No ifs, no buts. With regard to the prosecution, clearly it was right for the case to be brought. As I've already said, as Lord Chancellor, I have to respect the process. However, that has had quite a consequence for the families. And I think the important work that now needs to be done by colleagues in the Home Office, and I have taken the trouble to speak to Home Office officials this morning, is to focus on Bishop James Jones's 2017 report and work with the families to make sure that those recommendations are carried out. And that focus has to be unrelenting. I want that to take months, not years. Obviously, the families need to be at the heart of it. Nothing about them without them. It clearly has to be the watchword. But I'm confident that in the line of the work done by David Cameron, by the Honourable Lady, the Member for Maidenhead, and indeed by the work of the Home Office now, that approach will be very much taken. Now, with regard to the work that I know she and others, including the Noble Lord Wills, have been doing on the independent public advocate, I just wanted to assure her that we're absolutely committed to making sure that bereaved people are supported and given a proper voice throughout the process. There was a government consultation conducted in 2018. There have been responses to that, which were rather varied. So what I propose to do is to do some more work on that process more swiftly. and to absolutely bottom out what the options might be in making sure that any service is independent, has the confidence of those who use it, and makes a difference, particularly in those major public inquiries where many lives have been lost. I know that's been the focus, and we've got to make sure, and I know we will work with the Honourable Lady, we will make sure that in the consultation we will look at things like the threshold, what that might look like, and the overall impact on this. I don't think, Mr Speaker, we need to create some huge public body, frankly, and I know that's not the intention of the Honourable Lady, but I want to give this now very careful and close attention, and I'm sure she will work with me on that. It's good to note that a lot of work has already been done with regard to legal aid eligibility. We've in effect ended any means test on legal aid for legal help and indeed representation by use of the exceptional cases funding category of legal aid, and I thought that was an important and welcome initiative. And I also must bear in mind as well, Mr Speaker, we must bear in mind the work done by the Right Honourable Gentleman Mr Nick Hurd, former member of this House, as the Prime Minister's advisor and envoy on the Grenfell inquiry. I just want to make sure that the correlation of that type of role is fully understood in the concept of a potential independent public advocate. I'm sure that the Honourable Lady and I will have further exchanges, and I'm sure she'll forgive me if I haven't answered every specific question that she asks, but I am profoundly grateful to her for an urgent question today.